Skinny Heart Away Southern T, back with another EP. And today I'm here with some breaking news. Y'all know I like to do these breaking news stories, these breaking stories. And I was doing a Southern T earlier, and we was talking about. I was on the Southern T earlier, and we was talking about Bud and Earl contract, situation, all that good shit. And Canelo Alvarez came up in his pay-per-view numbers, and I had the first word I got that first first room I heard was one of my sources brought to me, and I didn't report this because I don't necessarily always report stuff when I first get it. You know what I mean? But I got this news. I heard Canelo pay-per-view did around 120K. You know what I mean? I didn't report that because that was low. That was extremely low, especially for Canelo Alvarez. You know what I mean? So I said, I'm gonna keep that one to myself. I'm gonna wait to see exactly, of anything else come from it. Come from it. You know what I mean? And then I seen somebody else come in here today, and they told me that Canelo did 200K, pay-per-views. Now that's much better than the 120 that I first initially heard. You know what I mean? So somebody came into my Southern T today, and they told me that they heard Canelo did about 200,000, pay-per-views. You know what I said? You know what? One of my sources told me 120. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say I took it with a grain of salt because I do believe him. You know what I mean? He said he heard he was around 120. You know what I mean? I took it with a grain of. I ain't gonna say I took it with a grain of salt because I do believe him. But he said he did 120. I got somebody else came in here today and said that they heard that he did about 200 about 200K. So I did my due diligence. You know what I mean? I called a couple more people. That I leaned on for my sources. My first source told me his first number he heard was 120. You know what I mean? I heard a rumor mill in my chat that 200K. So I took it upon myself, to call a couple more of my guys and see what they heard, if they got any news. One of my guys said he hadn't heard shit on it yet. You know what I mean? He's still waiting. He said he heard the same things that I heard. He said the same things that I heard. You know what I mean? Pretty much. But my other guy said that he checked with his people and he heard that it did anywhere from 300K down. You know what I mean? He said 300K. He said less than 300K. He said it did less than 300K. So when I hear stuff like that, I go from 300K down. You know what I mean? But I didn't want to word it like that because it sounds kind of bad when you be like, Canelo did less than 300K, and I didn't want people to feel like that I was trying to shun Canelo, like that's bad, like that's a bad, that's like a bad number. Now it is unnormally low for Canelo Alvarez, given his history and the other numbers, that's been reported, that has been reported, throughout history with. What's good to hear? I'm still sharing this thing too, by the way, y'all. It's than what had been really, but under 300K or 300K and downward, that's a pretty good review, but it is low for Canelo or Alvarez pay-per-view. But you know, uh, some people believe my reports, some people don't. You know what I mean? I ain't got no reason to lie to y'all type deal, especially when I could have came out here and I could have told y'all the very first number I heard, which was 120,000K, and I kept that junk to myself. You know what I mean? Then I heard somebody tell me today 200K, and then when I checked, my sources told me, under 300K. You know what I mean? So I had one source say 120K, another guy came in here on my Southern T and said 200K, and my actual source said 300K or down. You know what I mean? So I worded my Southern T. He did upwards of 275K. Now 300K is more of a believable number, than the 120K. I just refuse to believe that Canelo Alvarez did anything like refuse to believe that Canelo Alvarez did anything like 20K. You know what I mean? But I got word I got word from my bad, y'all, my bad. But yeah, I had I first heard 120K that somebody came here on Southern T and said 200K, and then I checked, my own sources, a couple of my sources. One of them said they had no clue, and the other one said it'd be upwards of 300K. So the more believable number, what I'm going to go with, and I normally kind of just take, what everybody say, everything. I kind of just find the number, somewhere in the middle. But around 300K, 300K or less, upwards of 275K, that does sound, a reasonable number, for Canelo Alvarez. A lot lower than what Canelo normally does, but that does sound about right. And a lot of people go tell me that, this is Canelo slander video. I really could have came out here and told y'all the very first number I said, but I didn't, think that was accurate. I didn't think that was too accurate at all. You know what I mean? That 120K. But I will say this, about these pay-per-view numbers. I know that pay-per-view. I broke the news that Canelo Alvarez did a $9 million gate. For Canelo Alvarez to do a $9 million gate, and for him to sell, under 300K pay-per-views, that's not really a success for one Canelo Alvarez who normally does, much, much better than that. And also, I want to bring something to everybody's attention. When this news first dropped about this Canelo Bivol fight, before this, he was supposed to fight Jermell Charlo. That was the rumor. That was we was talking. He had a $50 million deal to fight Jamal Charlo, on Showtime type deal. He ended up not accepting it. And then the words that came out, around that was that, oh, he didn't accept that deal because the zone matched the deal with a B-Vol and a Triple G fight. They matched the money, so he took the zone deal. But also reportedly, Canelo only got $15 million guaranteed for that fight with B-Vol, and Bivol got $2 million. So that $50 million offer that everybody was saying that the zone had made for Canelo turned out to not be true. So actually, Canelo Alvarez ended up taking less money for Bivol and Triple G than he would have made with Jermell and Benavidez or Earl Spence. He took a lot less money on that DAZN deal than he would have made if he had took, the latter deal. I threw that out there because if there was, Jamal Charlo, who actually had a chance to fight a Canelo Alvarez and who took a lesser fight, for lesser money. You know what I mean? A lot of people will be drilling him. A lot of people will be drilling him. A lot of people will be grilling him. You know what I mean? But essentially, Canelo Alvarez took less money, for a fight in which he thought was easier. He ended up losing. You know what I mean? So essentially, he got $15 million for this fight. He left about $80 million, you know what I mean, on the table if you consider both fights. Because now I'm also hearing that Triple G and Canelo fight is up in the air, and it might not even happen. You know what I mean? That Triple G and Canelo fight. I'm hearing that fight up in the air, and that fight might not even go down. As well. So I think if which what I'm getting from my sources, which I do believe to be true. You know what I mean? If this number is true, 200 upwards of 275K, under 300K. You know what I mean? That's what he said, under 300K. I just worded upwards of 275K because I didn't want to say 300. I want to say less than 300K. Because people gonna tell me that I'm hating on Canelo or whatever. And 300 and three and 300,000 for a pay per view isn't a bad turnout, but it is a little low considering what Canelo Alvarez numbers are normally when they're reported. I don't know if Canelo Alvarez is what losing stardom. You know what I mean? or are people just more interested, in other boxers at this day and time? You know what I mean? Skills from New Orleans, what's good, pimp? What's good, pimp? Glad you can make it. Shout out my guy Ratchet91. Shout out my guy Ghost. Appreciate you sliding through this junk grease with fire. Glad you can make it. Shout out sister Harry Short. Appreciate you sliding through this junk to Harry. Glad you can make it. Y'all do your boy a favor. Y'all hit that like button when y'all roll on in. Greatly appreciate it. I'm here dropping, this breaking news. I hit up my sources and they told me, they gave me the scoop on Canelo Alvarez pay-per-view numbers that haven't officially dropped yet. But your boy Southern T, I like to do my research. I like to do my own due diligence and bring y'all this news first. So, but if you don't believe me, you could also go check out Eddie Hearn on Twitter. Eddie Hearn on Twitter was talking to some guy on Twitter. You know what I mean? And he said he said that the pay-per-views did double, 300K. You know what I mean? But Eddie Hearn has yet to drop a number. You know what I mean? Eddie Hearn said that a guy on Twitter said that he heard that Canelo Alvarez pay-per-views did like 300 some K. Eddie came on there and Eddie said no, it did double that. Shout out my guy H. I Young. Appreciate you sliding through this John H. Eddie said no, it did at least double that. And then the guy told Eddie Hearn to drop a number, and Eddie Hearn just stopped responding completely. It's been about a couple weeks since Canelo and Bivol fought. We haven't heard any increment of a pay-per-view number, which is why, I went to my sources because I see the people was out here wondering and what Canelo Alvarez pay-per-view did. We were getting, antsy about it. So I went and did my due diligence, and this is the number that my sources gave me. You know what I mean? The first source I heard was 120. Had another guy say 200K. My source told me under 300K. You know what I mean? Eddie Hearn said that it did double 300K. You know what I mean? But let's say that it did 600,000. Throughout history, that's still, pretty bad for Canelo Alvarez, pay-per-view. But for the first couple of numbers for Canelo Alvarez, pay-per-view to hit, and for them numbers to be, 120, 200K, 300K, you know what I mean? It says a lot about where boxing at and where boxing going. All the people finally starting, get tired of the antics in boxing. All the people finally, starting to catch up, to the games of certain fighters. But, if you was wondering, you can believe it. You could not believe it. You could do your own research, whatsoever. You could believe, you could not believe it. But my source is telling me Canelo Alvarez pay-per-view did about under 300K, anywhere from 250 to 300K. Those are, the numbers that I've been given. Now, officially, the numbers have not dropped yet. Eddie Hearn hasn't said a word, which is odd because by now, normally, we would have been in gap, something from Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn ain't said a word yet. And normally when people don't tell you the pay-per-view numbers soon due after the pay-per-views, it's normally because it didn't do as well as they planned for it to do. But that's all I got on this Southern T. I just want to bring y'all this info real quick. Again, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Appreciate y'all folks sliding through this. Everybody do me a favor that's in here. Hit this like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Canelo Alvarez pay-per-view. First increments, first number drop upwards of 275K, less than 350K. That's what I got. Now, I'm pretty sure you go hear these numbers a little later on from somebody you trust or don't trust. You know what I mean? I guarantee you that it's probably going to be, I guarantee you this, it'll be anywhere from 500K or less. I guarantee you that. Because I'm hearing 100K, I'm hearing 200K, I'm hearing 300K. Those are all the numbers that I heard, but I guarantee you, when you get numbers to come out like that, when only you get numbers to come out, it's gonna be somewhere in and around the ballpark. And all the numbers that's flooding and coming out, if you consider the gate number as well, which was smaller than normal, not looking too good, necessarily for this pay-per-view. I also had my guy Ghost tell me that the Triple G versus Canelo fight might be in jeopardy as well. They might not even be doing that fight in September. So I'm finna go do my due diligence a little more and, see what's up with that. But that's all I got. Skin the Highway 7T. This ain't the past. This ain't the future. But this the present. That's how we rocking. And I'm out. Love.